Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, ADHD and Attention Coach Jeff Copper. Big shout out to one of our viewers who actually made a post on our channel. Forgive me, I'm going to read this. Not freezing up when something is challenging, instead moving to the next step. So the idea is they're like, what tips do I have to not freeze up and escape? I find this interesting. You're looking for tips, a trick, or a strategy. But let's think about this for a little bit. Why are you freezing up? Oh, you're freezing up because you're threatened. You're freezing up because something's hard. Um, you're freezing up because something's uncomfortable. You're freezing up because you don't know what to do. Let's pause there for a second. One of the things that I do when people call me up and they want coaching is I go through my engagement agreement. And the first thing I say is, we need to talk about pressure. The reason we got to talk about this is pressure is the single greatest thing that can get in my way of helping people with ADHD. And I say, to me, the job of the defense in sports is to put pressure on the offense. Why? Because it inhibits performance. So when people come into me with the I ought to, I need to, if they start shooting all over themselves, I stop them and say, listen, you're going to have to let go of this because you're putting too much pressure on yourself. Because what happens when you do that, it shuts your mind off. It paralyzes. It's kind of like Winnie the Pooh going, think, 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 think. The more he goes, think, the more blank his mind goes. So realize is when you're in that moment, you're in a paralyzed state. You're putting pressure on yourself. The best thing that you can do is relax, number one. By the way, that's easy for me to say, hard to do, which I'll come back to. But the other one is to sit there and acknowledge what you've got going on. Like, oh, this is a difficult task. Now, in other videos, I talk about a lot of times you're freezing in the face of something that's multifaceted and ambiguous. And what's happening in these moments is people are freezing up and they're not saying, wow, this is really, really complicated and it's really, really hard. They're, from their perspective, they think that they should be able to do it and they don't really address the problem. And so what they do in that moment is they're paralyzed because they don't know what to do, emotionally frustrated. So what they do is they escape to the comfort of something else. How do you not escape? Well, bottom line is whatever you're doing, we got to focus on how do you make it easier, less uncomfortable, got to problem solve. Herein lies one of the problems. A lot of times people are looking for the tip, trick, or strategy to do the work for them. Tip, tricks, and strategies are there to help you, but at some point in time, it comes from the inside, which starts with self-awareness. Self-awareness. Can't do anything about self-awareness. Tips, tricks, and strategies, they don't actually do the work for you. They're actually to bring awareness for you to engage with it. So what's the answer to what do you do when you freeze up? Well, first of all, you have to gain the self-awareness that you're doing that. You got to pause, take the pressure off of yourself, maybe admit what's hard, and then you've got to problem solve for it. Jeff, that sounds easy. Like if I could do that, I would have done it by now. But sometimes it's to sit there and say, I probably need some help with this. Maybe I've got a limiting belief around this. Actually, to acknowledge that you don't really know what to do. Admitting that you don't want to do or that you need some help or doing something, that's really kind of the first step to actually kind of going forward. Because at the end of the day, I got nothing for you. Like when you're paralyzed in a fight, flight, or freeze state, like trying harder is probably not going to work. Willpower is probably not going to work. It's really mostly about relaxing and sometimes getting help for an accommodation. Not exactly what you guys are looking for sometimes, that just want the quick fix, but trying to help understand the reality of the situation is that you're having an emotional reaction in the face of something that's difficult. Acknowledge that it's hard, try to get some help. With that, if you're new to our channel, please hit the subscribe button. We'd like to hear from you. For our existing viewers, what do you think? How disappointed are you that I didn't solve the problem on that? But it's an emotional reaction. It's a reflexive reaction. It starts with the inside and self-awareness. Also, we do what we do for you. We certainly appreciate any contribution by hitting the thanks button. So with that, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Attention Talk Video. Take care.